Streets of Rage, don't you know you are my favorite beat 'em up series of all time on my second favorite gaming console of all time. Come on, look at that intro. It's a gorgeous blue nighttime city skyline. And listen to that techno-y music, my god, this is what the Genesis is about. This is the soul of 90s gaming. Streets of Rage, the original, is an almost perfect beat-em-up game. Thing is, it's not quite as good as its flawless sequel, Streets of Rage 2, which is just the best beat-em-up of all time, hands down. You can't argue that. Maybe you can say Golden Axe 2 is somewhere in that general area, but I still think Streets of Rage 2 beats out Golden Axe 2. Nonetheless, just because this isn't as good as the sequel doesn't mean this isn't just an awesome game, because believe me, it is. Everything about it is fantastic. It's just not quite there at the level of Streets of Rage 2. The graphics are a little worse, the controls aren't as smooth and responsive, the environments aren't as pretty to look at, but the one thing in this game that's on par with Streets of Rage 2 is the music. Oh my god, the Streets of Rage series knows how to have good music. I mean, aside from some RPGs, the Streets of Rage series just has some of the best OST, hands down. Listen to that. It's like this urban, semi-futuristic, techno-y, punky beat. It's just so catchy, and it fits so perfectly with the gameplay. I mean, the gameplay itself just pulls you into the world of Streets of Rage, but the music holds you in with super glue. You do not want to put this game down. In Streets of Rage, you have 3 characters to kick ass with: Adam, Axel, and Blaze. Adam is very powerful, he can jump very well, obviously, but he's kinda lacking in the speed department. Then we have Axel, he's very powerful, he can't jump very well, but he's very fast. And then of course we have Blaze, who isn't very powerful, but she can jump very well and she's very fast. Now, who is the best character? Well, there are 2 very good characters and one that's not so good. Axel and Blaze are great characters. Why? They have speed. Speed is very important in this game. It's the most important attribute. When enemies surround you, not only do you need twitch fast reflexes, but the actual character needs to respond to your commands very well. And when the character isn't very fast, he's gonna get hit a lot when moving around, when turning around. There's this one thing where an enemy punches you, you drop your weapon, and the command for picking up a weapon and hitting the enemy is the same command. So there's an enemy right ahead of you and there's a weapon right below you, so just by default you pick up the weapon, and if you aren't very fast, you won't have enough time to pick up the weapon before the enemy hits you again. Blaze can pick up the weapon, Axel can, but Adam can't, so he's very much lacking in this game. Sure, he's got great power in his fists and legs, but honestly, so does Axel. Adam's jumps might be more extravagant, hell, maybe they even do a little more damage. But honestly, even though Axel can't jump too high, his jumping attacks are probably the best in this game. You don't need to do extravagant jumps. Axel just jumps off the ground a little bit and then throws this knee which can take out a bunch of enemies at once. It's very useful. So Adam is the one that's kind of worse of the 3, and I would say on paper Axel is probably the best of the 3, but Blaze is very good too. She's got great attacks, and her attacks really look great. I mean, she can do these extravagant flips, and of course on top of that, there's the sexiness factor. Blaze is so fine. Every time I play this game, I just want to lick my screen because she just looks tasty. She wears this bright red latex dress with a short skirt and matching sneakers. I mean, she looks like Katy Perry, but I'm sure she's a better singer. The gameplay itself is so much fun. You're basically just walking to the right. That's the extent of the game. But there's a lot of strategy involved, and not just when fighting bosses who have their own little different strategies you need to implement to defeat. The different enemies you run into in the various levels in this game also require different different types of strategies. Enemies are constantly moving around the screen, and you have to be moving around too. You have to kind of position yourself so you don't get hit. You can throw the first punch, or you can grab the enemy. There's a lot of grappling attacks in Streets of Rage. It's not just punching the enemy and then grabbing them and throwing them left or right. You can do that, but you can also grab the enemy and then press the jump button to kind of slide over the enemy's head and then throw them from the back. The grappling is very sophisticated in this game, especially considering this is a game from the early 90s. You have different kinds of weapons you pick up in this game, like bats and pipes and knives. You don't really need the weapons. They're a good change of pace. They hit harder than your regular melee attacks, but they're not necessary. When things just aren't going your way, you're on the brink of defeat or death, you use the special. And the special is completely badass. It's this police car that pulls over, a guy pops out of it, shoots a rocket into the air, and just Agent Oranges the entire game field, taking out all the enemies on screen. Some enemies have a lot of hit points, so they're not gonna die from this, especially bosses, but most of the add-ons will just be completely burned alive by this special attack. Streets of Rage is one of the best beat-em-ups ever made. It is one of the best retro games of all time, and that's why it gets an official stanburdman rating of a 9 out of 10. Thanks for watching. Goodbye, my friends.